Alright, the OR gate. Block, input here, and another input here, like so, lever, lever, lever. Then place a block here, place a block here, so, and this is the output here. Now, if any one of these levers is turned on, turns on. Also, if any two or even three of them are turned on, it turns on. So it's on if any of them are on, it's off when all of them are off. Right, an explanation of the logic. What we're trying to achieve here is to link, let's say for example, two outputs together, so that when either one of them are on, the output turns on. Now the easiest way of doing this is just to link it together, like so. But this means that the inputs are no longer isolated. So if this one turns on, this input is also activated, which means that if either one of them need to be used for something else, say you have two different inputs because when you pull this one, you only open the door. When you pull this one, you open the door and then do something else, say activate, for example, the eponymous piston. Thus, we run them through a block to separate the inputs, sorry. So now we have the problem that either one of them can power the block, but the output of the block is now inverted. As such, we need to re-invert that output, like so, by adding another inverter. What you're essentially doing is running both of these inputs into a NOT gate. Like so. So now, when you pull the levers, this output here doesn't light up. You pull this lever, this output does light up, as does this one. So what we then do is we compact this. This torch is put on the top of here. This block is brought up here. This redstone here is powered from this torch to power this block here. This block is now independent of this block here. And we add torch to the end, giving us the gate. Alright, alternatives. There are two main ones here. You might want to do two possible things with this gate. The first one is that you want more inputs. Now you can do this in two ways. You can either string a bunch of these together, or you can do it with redstone repeaters. So we can actually make an array of these, like so. Chain them all together with redstone, so. And then here's our output. Now, if any one of these become powered, and because they're diodes, they're all isolated. The other variation you might want is if it's got to be tall and thin, so if it has to fit inside a wall. Now, the easiest way of doing this is like so, with inputs here and here. This runs into a block here, like so. This is a double inverter here to bring that signal down, so this input now powers that. This input now powers that. If you need this input here to be isolated, you can run it through a repeater, like so, and then have the power here. And now, when this is activated, you can see that this doesn't activate. Alrighty then, uses. We basically use these any time that we need to be able to operate one output by two different inputs, or when we need to be able to set one output to do two different things. So, for example, in the use I had earlier, we had a second input also connected to another output here. So we could say I have two levers operate a door. One of them will simply operate the door and allow it to open. The other one could operate the door, but also activate a trap so that anyone walking through it would be trapped or killed or damaged in some way. Alternatively, they're used in a lot of logic gates, logic circuits, for a variety of different purposes where the outputs of two different components might both need to operate one single output. Really, the OR gate has an awful lot of uses, only limited by your imagination and where you might need them. So yeah, OR gates, pretty simple really.